Now, if you're a spiritual person, you'll know exactly what this is like. We started talking this week on my podcast. I have Sherry Blake, and we started talking without recording. So we do not have a beautiful, nice, and smooth little introduction at the beginning of the podcast. We just started chatting. A conversation started where we were talking about AI and what that sort of looks and feels for us and where that may be going in our existence right now. So I'm just going to quickly introduce Sherry. Sherry Blake is a healer and channel of the Divine Mother and angelic realms. Sherry's dedicated to authentic, heartfelt connection and sharing the power of love to create miracles. Sherry has a passion for freedom and expansion and credits her 3 children as her greatest catalyst for growth. And I'm very excited to be talking to Sherry today. Unfortunately, you did miss a little bit of the conversation, but don't worry, there's still enough in here for you to grab onto, to have a little listen and really tune into our just general conversation on everything. There's nothing that we won't discuss and nothing that we won't have a comment or an opinion or an idea or a thought or a current belief, whatever it is, on any topic at any time. So here we go.
Okay.
So
we were just
continue what you were saying.
okay. So let's see. What were we talking about? We were talking about, for me, like
AI.
learning discernment, being someone who was very open, and my nature is to be like very inclusive, like all inclusive and curious. And like as a kid, especially, wanting to, do all the things like wanting to play with the Ouija board, wanting to have the seances. I used to pretend that something came in. I mean, I would scare the shit out of my best friend at the time. We have parted friendships, sadly, but that's okay. People grow. And I would pretend that I would, like, we'd be out in the woods and I would say, Sherry is no longer here. I have taken over her body. And I would pretend to the point where I would scare myself because she'd be like, stop it. But then she'd kind of be, and then I'd be like, ooh, did that happen? Like I would freak myself out kind of, right? And so I went through from a young age being really interested in all the things woo, all the things spiritual, having scary experiences, especially as a little girl. Seeing things, here and there. I haven't seen a lot, but like over the years, I've had physical seeings, but I've had other kinds of esoteric experiences where it's just like in real life for me, real life, that I had to learn that I didn't want to invite everything and everyone into my experience. And it didn't mean that I wasn't a loving being. And that I'm not meant, like it took a toll on my physical body. It took a toll on my mental body, on my emotional body, on my spiritual body. So for me, it's not so much about the fear of like AI, which is what we were talking about at the beginning, as it is just now I'm much more aware of just something doesn't feel good to me. I'm not going to go down that path. But I keep an open mind about, I'm not sitting here saying like, I will never do that because that is blah, 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 because I think that that's a mistake. I think that that causes division. I think it causes separation amongst people. It stops us from being able to grow. And it's like everything is always changing and growing, and especially our own understanding and our own relationship with things. So I don't know.
See, that's why it's so much harder for me because I was very heavily opinionated person, and like this is my whole life. But even moving through all the spirituality and everything, like I can't make stuff up. The things that pop into my head or the ideas or the things that I see, I'm not making that up. Like we don't control those thoughts or what we think we see over there or what happens to us. But for me now, it's that such an openness that you can't find that solidity in anything because you can see all sides of everything. So it's like, I understand this side, but I also understand this side. It's like, where do you stand? I don't know. I just stand in the whatevs. So that's why I don't attach to an actual answer. I'm open and consider all sides. And then I just go back to doing the things that I enjoy doing. And if that is affecting or reflecting in those things I enjoy doing, then it is in whatever way it is. And I don't know, because most of it, when you really think about it, when you're in that truest essence of yourself and you're just following the things that you love to do and bring you joy, none of that other shit has any effect on it. It doesn't matter whether you believe in AI or not, or, whether you're using this social media strategy, or whether you're believing in this religion or this God. When you're doing those things that you really enjoy and love and bring you joy, none of it matters. You know what I mean? Because you're just in that essence of yourself. And that's why for me, it's all about creating. Because if you're creating things, none of that is affecting me. You know what I mean? Like if I'm doing a painting or something, what things are affecting me as I'm doing a painting? Well, I need to understand how color works, but then that is based only on my eyesight. Like if I was someone that was colorblind or saw color differently, then that would have a different effect. You know what I mean? So none of that big stuff and that whole existence stuff matters when I'm truly designing things, drawing, creating. It's just me bringing things through in whatever that essence is of who I am type thing. And so it doesn't matter if, I believe that, we're ascending over here, or we're believing in this, or we're calling in this collective, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm
So,
existing right now. That's it.
and yet your beliefs, so
Are
you're
making me
saying that,
believe that. See,
I
it's
was
my
going to say,
beliefs though that
because
are
you're,
making me believe that.
but so do you just say that you have no beliefs?
But see, I can't, because
Or
I
is even no
believe.
belief?
Yes, because I believe. I believe. You know what I mean? It's the duality in non-duality. It's the same thing. Like you can believe in duality and non-duality at the same time, which in itself is a duality. So there is no either
Well,
or,
it's the both and. I mean, it's
Yes.
like, these aren't anything, this is no new thing, but it's just like how, yes, there's a drop of water in the ocean. You can go in there with your bucket and get a water and take it out, and you can go down and take out a drop of water, and the whole drop of water is in the ocean. It's it's kind of like that. It's both and. I think that, and especially where we are, it's different for all of us, and yet all of us are still experiencing, getting up in the morning and having to put pants on and use the bathroom and eat food and deal with the physical reality that we're in, like even as we're creating, like we're moving through those things. And so
Because we're still
it's like
humans.
we have this awareness and this potential and this understanding of knowing that we are unlimited and that we're creators, and we are walking through this earth with the physical result around us of whatever past belief we've had, whatever past experiences we've had that have created these beliefs. Like, I think it's a little bit, I think that it can be very, I'm not so sure at this point for me that, because for a long time I was just like, it's 100% me creating based on my beliefs. That's it. That's all. And so I was constantly just trying to refine that, and like almost like in a constant inquiry with that as part of, and it was a huge part of my process and my journey. And it did change. Did I just see a light go across you?
Oh, that's standard when I do videos. It's just a
That's
standard
cool
thing.
though that I got to see it. Because it's one thing for you to know it, it's another thing for me to see it. Um, but it's like there's this truth in that, and we're working with that within this other framework of why I think, like, for example, as things come up, then we have to go into it for ourselves in that moment. Like if sadness comes up, or um, comparison, or doubt, or fear, or any of those emotions, because those are all still expressing through us as physical beings, and they get trapped into or processed out through our organs as humans. But I think all this is shifting too. Like, I know that I feel very different than I did even a few months ago, and when I think back to, like, I mean, I couldn't even stand up barely on my own 2 feet 8 months ago, or no, 14 months ago is when I started being able to, like, stand up again and walk some and stuff. So it's easy to, like, think about where I was in that moment with all my beliefs that I had, all the belief work I've done, all the healing work I've done, all the tools I had. And still yet, that's the experience I had. You know what I mean? Like, so that kind of brought me back into this place of, and Sherry, you're still a human having a human experience, and you've still got some more shit to go through.
But see, then we get to the point though, and this is where I feel like I'm going into is beyond that. That is the like a stage, I guess. But I have that's not a sentence. I don't get those shadows and beliefs and those things that I have to work on as much. Like they are becoming
Right.
non-existent now, to a point of it's like I haven't had to work through anything for a few days. That's weird. Why is that not annoying me? Why is this not and it's like, oh, because I've done all the work. I've started to remove all that. And then I'm moving more into, and I don't know, this is just curiosity and wonder. An extension part of this human body is that going all the way back to us just being that energetic vibrational frequency, and understanding that consciousness of our being is just because we are holding that belief that we are this physical body in this 3D world. So this is literally an illusion. And you hear many people talk about that. Everything's illusion, blah, 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 because we know from science that, we're just particles, we're just atoms. You look at us and put us under a microscope, you break us all the way down. We're just vibrating little particles, which means that this is an expression of our whole entire existence, our consciousness. So
Yeah.
even though right now we are experiencing being a human in this physical form with feelings, emotions, and experiences, could it not also be just an expression of consciousness based on our current beliefs? And I have heard other people talk about this, and it's like, what? You're blowing my mind, because I'm not going to lie. I get that thought that it is just like a Truman Show, where this is just an element of something so much bigger that you can't even grasp yet. We're here thinking, oh, my life is over because this has happened. But when you zoom out, it's like, it's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I have had that thought. I don't have proof of that. I don't have any solid foundations, but I feel like we are just, it's because it's that energy into matter, right? It's just that
Right.
vibration that, because of that belief, is holding it so hard, it's creating this human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I think that that is possible. And I've definitely, played around a lot with that. And really, in some ways, that's even kind of what the yogis teach, the ancient yogis. It's a very, there was a reason that, like, Christ and some of the other yogis could literally bilocate. These are things that are very documented in ancient
Mhm.
texts. It
Mm.
doesn't, they conveniently don't talk about that part of Jesus's life. And not that I'm an expert on that, but like whenever I hear those things and read those things and get little bits and pieces about it, I'm like, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That feels true to me. But I think it's like, to me, it's less about, it's like, yes, that's true. And at the same time, how am I going to take care of this physical body while I'm in it, while I am experiencing it? Because I think that we can get into esoteric thinking and experiences even and truth of these esoterical, like, yeah, everything is vibrating, everything is, this is just, sure, an illusion in a certain sense, to an extent. I guess everything is, right? But it's like, how's that really serving me? I think it's a great thing to recognize that in some ways this is an illusion, but I also think that that doesn't always serve us to get caught up in that, because it's almost like a
Don't say bypass.
well, it's like a way of disregarding, disregarding,
If you
the
just do that,
the
though, if
temple,
you don't, yeah,
the
if you don't
vessel, the
hold it
temple,
all together, because it's
like,
not just that. Like, we can't just lie in bed all day and go, okay, I'm just vibrating,
right.
food in my body and bills being paid or whatever. I get that, but it's just having that idea and that thought and allowing things. Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of these thoughts that come to my mind, and before I even speak about them, I will try things on. Like, I am telling you, there's a lot of things I'm trying to work on in
Mhm.
the background of things that make no sense, because I'm not going to talk about it or do anything until I can prove it for myself. Like, someone just telling me that this is possible is not possible until, this is just me, I can prove it. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I'm working on lots of things on that realm. However, I'm also still here as this human doing human things every day, even though I'm still thinking on such a way out there that makes no sense type attitude. So it's that whole seeing all sides of the thought or the idea that I try, so I can get this whole holistic vision, standpoint, and opinion, I guess. So I'll let you know.
Well, and the experiences that we have, like, so whenever I went into this experience that I was having, even though in some ways it went a lot against my beliefs, because my beliefs have become much more like, um, I'm just not going to attach to any of those things. Like, I am healed. I am able to heal others. I've had those experiences, blah, blah, blah. That's where I'm going to focus. And now I'm just ready to bring the life of my dreams into fruition. That's kind of like the mindset I was in whenever I basically like started having one thing after the next and hit bottom and was at death's door. And it's still true that, like, it's just a portal. I mean, I was suffering intensely. And so the only way through that was I could escape it by just being like, I can't deal with this, and give me pain pills and, take me out of my misery or whatever. Or I can go into myself and actually open to spirit and be ready to heal like that, or to die so that I could move on to some other realm of experience. And that experience brought me personally back into this place of, at a different level of both surrendering to that mystery that goes beyond this thinking mind and all the logic and all the blah, blah, blahs, to this experience of healing and unconditional love that I brought back into myself. And I still don't even fully understand what all happened there because, like, you know, it's like we can talk about these things. It's just kind of like if you give birth, you like I gave birth naturally 3 times with no painkillers or anything. I can't really express that experience through words now or even grasp it. But I have this like memory, like there's part of me that knows, like,
Mhm.
whoa, that was
Intense and painful.
otherworldly, painful, but also like, God, I
Mm.
called on parts of myself that were not just physical at all. It was like, it's like coming face to face with that part of you that is a divine being, to even get through that and to and see, it's almost like you're tripping or something. It's like you're in this whole other
It's the
um
rawness of it, right? Because it's you in your
consciousness.
most natural human state self. Because
Yeah,
you
like
can't
going through
fight it.
death
You can't
does
use
that
your
too.
mind. You can't use anything to control it. This is what's happening. And
It's
that's
a surrender.
yeah.
And so you're surrendering, but you're also like getting really into touch with this is like I am this life force at the same time. It's like I'm this physical body. This is coming through me. This is crazy. I'm in all this pain. I have to totally surrender because, yeah, I don't have control over this. And you come face to face with, like, I am this. And you kind of ride it like a wave. And why did I bring that up? I was also
Rebirth. Literally rebirth, right?
going through that rebirth experience I
Mm.
went through, that near death experience that I went through. It's like even now when I look back, it's like the words don't really quite do it justice, but I had understandings come through about like my spirit and why I'm here and things I've always known, but it was like at a deeper level because before I wasn't very comfortable. Deep inside, I wasn't, and I still struggle with this, very comfortable claiming those things for myself, like really claiming them and really being like, wow. I mean, and I still don't think words ever do it justice. So there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to be any label. I don't want to even have to talk about what I do. All these words are just pointing to everything. That it's all the great mystery. Just come sit with me and let's be
Yes.
together and
We'll
vibrate
vibrate.
and
Let's vibrate.
enjoy. And that's true too, but then it's
Yeah.
like, again, oh, we speak in a language. We share with each other, we create together. So uh, but it brought me back into a real place of surrender and personal power and understanding that as a human here on this earth in this time, for me to feel decent about just being here and not just be like, what the fuck's the point anyway? I had to come back into almost like a core part of myself um, that is like, oh, I really am here on some sort of a mission in a sense. And it's not a mission like A, B, C, D, E, oh, mission accomplished, but it's more like honoring the divinity that we are, honoring the mystery, honoring the creativity, honoring that just through that spark of love that our brain doesn't necessarily always understand, but that we are, that physical matter changes, that healing occurs. It's like just to say it's not real and that it's an illusion, to me, it's a powerful piece, but it's like, what are you going to do with that? Right. Because that's only going to work to the extent that you can really get behind it. So
But,
that's why, depending on where people are and what they're
mm,
experiencing and what they're going through, you know, it's like something Sadhguru talks about is he'll be talking about in his things the fact that we're all spirit or whatever. And like somebody will say, Sadhguru, how can you say this like with so many starving people in India? and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, if I, do you think I'm going to go up to the man on the corner and be like, this is all an illusion? He's like, no, but I'm going to feed that man. That's what I'm going to do as me. I'm going to hand them bread. I'm going to cook for them. Like, there's no more important work than that, in a sense, in the moment. So it's not about disregarding the human and the human experience. It's like, that's not really, for me, it's gotten to a place where I'm like, that's only useful to a certain degree.
But I think
And
that's
so
the journey to it, and it's the human experience that leads us to it. So right now, when we feel that we have these missions or this gifts or knowings we need to share with others, that's part of us helping others move towards their own journey. You know what I mean? Like, our mission is always just for us to be who we are right now. And if we feel like we have a message, we need to share it. We feel like we can help someone right now, we need to do that. Doesn't mean it's forever and that's defines who we are. It's just part of that journey towards, like they talk about that nothingness or whatever you want to, it's part of the growth towards it. But then I know I always have that thought in the back of my mind, if you get to that place, well, then what? You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, slow down, Anna, because you think about it. I've only been doing this shit for a few years. I've not spent my life, I did not grow up spiritual. It's like, if we accelerate at this speed where I'm already past all that shit, it's like, does that mean your life's over because you're done with this human experiment? And even though, you could go and exist somewhere else as something else, whatever. It's like, there's still that little bit of fear. Does that mean my human life will then be over because I've done all the human shit and I've moved through all the crap? You've given me all the experience. I understand what you're talking about, yada, yada, yada. Now what? You know what I mean? Like, 10 years. What am I going to be saying in 10 years?
Yeah. Well,
can I be any crazier? No. Like, how can I get any more crazy with my thoughts? It's like, it cannot get any wilder. It's like, well, then what? What do we do? What do we do?
Well, it all happens in the present, of course. So there's, it's always happening.
That's the human part, right? That's the human. That's still the human having a fear of the unknown. And that logic brain not knowing what's going on, what's happening. I need to know what we're doing. What are we working toward? You know what I mean? So there's still that.
And there's a lot of grief processes that come up as we release those layers of our human self, because it is weird. I mean, you do die to certain parts of yourself the more that you understand and the more that your consciousness expands. And it can be challenging because you don't you just have to keep saying goodbye to certain comfort zones.
I miss talking to guides. I miss talking to collectives. I will show you something, Sherry. I did this yesterday. This is how I am now. Okay. Like, I have about 10 different pendulums, right? And I thought, and now mine used to go wild, and I understand crystals don't work with you, blah, blah, blah. Every single one I did. Every single one, hang on, will not move. And I tried every single one. Like, see, they will not work for me anymore. Not one of them. None of it.
Well,
like, what's wrong with me? And I'm like, it's just my belief, because I don't believe in them anymore. So there goes back to my beliefs. My beliefs create my reality. But that shocked me yesterday. I thought, I don't have any energy. I don't make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's almost like getting to the other side of, like, somebody who doesn't believe that they can do anything in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, when you first even hear, like, somebody who's never heard of a pendulum, and it comes into their awareness, and if they're like, yeah, sure, that's bullshit, that's whatever, it, it's not going to do anything, but it might at some point. And then they'll go, oh, that
Mm,
cracks them open just a
mhm.
little bit. It's kind of like you went through that and came out the other end. Um,
Exactly, like that. It was like that. And I
yeah,
liked using them. And now it's like trust in yourself, trust. Because to me, I feel like they're just tools to allow us to really get
they
to know
are.
that we have the answers. Stop looking
Yeah.
outside of yourself. They're all within.
Yeah. It's like,
Mhm.
even that's like with truth testing. I mean, I remember when I first heard about that, it it was like, but could my body actually know? Or is that just, I had all these thoughts around it. But then whenever I just sort of like let go of the thought and started just doing it without all this doubt and all these thoughts and all this, what's it even mean? And then it started working in my body, like my body. Oh, I do feel that, because so much I think of what we experience as having been, let's just say, having chosen as humanity on a certain level to remove ourselves more and more and more away from our natural instincts, the part of us that is animalistic, that is totally in uh, harmony with the earth and our elements and all those things, who knows what we need in the moment, and had our intuition completely on, just there, open. So as we've gotten to where we live in houses and our feet aren't even on the earth, and we've become more and more and more and more and more and more removed from what I call that divine essence, that true spirit. We get removed from our natural ability that is within this physical body as a human, that we still have as a creator. I think that part of what we're doing, and I don't claim to fully understand it, because sometimes these things come through and I'm like, where's that coming from? Why do I even think that? But it's like, it makes as much sense as anything else. And it feels true to me at the moment. And it's not something I used to experience or feel, is that we're being, and I think that my near death experience solidified this more, is that we're being asked to descend into the body and bring our higher self, our awareness, our knowing, our divinity into this physical vessel, instead of constantly trying to figure out how to get out of it and escape it. It's like really bringing that God experience into the physical body, because if everything is just about belief, also, well, what if we decided we just wanted to live forever? Like, would our
Why
body
can't
even
we?
age?
Why can't we?
Right. Would our body even age? Would it, I mean, if we could really fully believe that. So
I
does
read
that
there are
mean,
people who live on the mountains, they are over 300 years old.
yeah.
Three,
So
400 years
I
old
think that's possible. Like, I don't think it's
now.
impossible, but I'm also like, huh. So is that what we want to do? Do we want to
No,
live in the physical body for that
no,
long? Well, if we weren't suffering, maybe it would be an
yes.
amazing way to live. Like,
Then we'd get bored.
there's
There's only
there's
so
so
much
many
we can
ways
do
to
as a
look at
human,
it.
right? There's only so much we can do.
But if we really got to the point where we can live for hundreds of years, is there only so much we could do? Like, are we bilocating? We're just
Is
not
there
conscious
something
of
better
it. Are we
outside of being a
going
human?
in our Merkaba bodies? You know what I mean? Like, is it just come back to like realizing that, wait, we're already there? Like, the only real illusion is the illusion that there's something wrong, that there's something to strive for, that we're not loved, that we're not enough as we are in the physical body. Is that what the awakening even is? Awakening to, oh yeah, like if you're in total acceptance, like,
Mm.
and feel that, because we are just that vibration. And yet, just, we say just, and yet that is literally
That's all there is, though. Like, I don't think it has to be complicated. I think we complicated it so much just to get all the way back to the simplisticness of us as ourselves. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I was getting ready to say about like the image of Guadalupe, like this experience. Um, I know that on the
I haven't read.
on the podcast, people won't be able to see this, but it's like this book kind of jumped out at me when I was at the Cathedral Cafe last time and with Daisy on her midwife thing. And it's this restaurant that has like books on the shelf and you can just give a donation. It used to be a cathedral. So I just was like turned around and I thought, I just want to like find something cool. I'll just see if there's anything cool right here. I'm not going to get up and go look. And this was just like right there. And I was like, wow, because I had really began to start talking again more about the Divine Mother and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's cool. The mother's coming to me. But so the story of this, the image of Guadalupe in 1531, an Indian peasant came to the Bishop of Mexico City and said that Mary had appeared to him and asked that a church be built at the site of the apparition. When the bishop asked for a sign, the man brought him fragrant roses and a picture of the lady emblazoned on his rough-hewn cloak. Today, still, the cloak hangs above the high altar of the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The cloth should have deteriorated hundreds of years ago, yet it is intact, preserved as if it had been woven yesterday. The colors of the lady's image are still brilliant. Difficult as that may be to believe, there's more of the miraculous about the image. The modern day miracle of the computer has discovered even more astounding features. Both eyes of the picture contain images, all appearing in the eyes according to accepted laws of the physiology of the human eye. In other words, the eyes of the image of Guadalupe preserve for all time a record of what a living person saw. What are these images in the eyes of the Virgin, and just what is the picture itself? The image of Guadalupe poses answers to these questions. Using the tools of the present, the author probes the past to discover just what there is on a 400-year-old peasant cloak that has held the belief and imagination of the faithful for centuries. So, like, there's so
Now I need to see
many.
the image.
It's kind of like, but if you look it up, I mean, there's a lot that you can, there's a lot of ways you can look at it and a lot of
Is it
research
that
that's been done
colourful?
into it. What's that?
No, I need to look it up. I need to keep talking. I need to look
Well,
that up now.
yeah, so it's just really kind of fascinating how these things, people have experiences that are profound. And so on one hand, it's like, it's just our consciousness. It's just our, whatever you want to call it. But on the other hand, it's like, it is something that comes to people from divinity because of something that is wanting to come through as messages for humanity, for ways to, even like you saying that you miss talking to the collectives and your guides and stuff like that. Is it just because now you understand that those are really just aspects of yourself, like at a
Yes.
deeper level, so they
Yep.
can't show up to you in the same way anymore?
It was a progression.
It's
It was from nothing to one to this whole party. And it was just into that awareness and understanding. It's all me. All these things, they're not outside of you. They're all you. You're just talking to yourself and you think you're talking to this collective over here or you're talking to this guide over here. They're all you. And once you understand that, you don't need them anymore.
So it's like you have
Nothing.
become embodied as just that you've embodied
Myself.
instead of it being in your head. Right.
I
Yeah.
can't ask myself a question, So before it'd be like, I used to have one guide, her name was Rebecca. She was my most helpful one. But it'd be like, oh, I'm trying to do this, or I want to do this. What's some advice? And I'll be blah, 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 blah. I don't get that anymore. So now, but I also don't have that need to ask a question. Instead, it's more of, I feel like doing this today. How am I going to do it? And then I just get going. It's
Mhm.
no longer asking a question, waiting for an answer. It's what feels good right now. Oh, I feel like creating this. Let's go. So it's like stepping into new desires, new feelings, new joy. Oh, this feels fun. Or, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And then we're drawing on all our other experiences and blah, blah, blah. And if there's skills or things we need to learn along the way, we can find them so easily now. And we just continue on. So I can't ask for advice anymore. Before it'd be like, okay, so I have these 3 timelines. Which one is my highest? Okay, I'm currently running this life, and this life. Let's merge them. Let's jump onto my highest. I don't do any of that anymore. It's just, I know I'm always on my highest timeline. I don't have an end goal. I have desires. Oh, what would earning $10,000 a day feel like? Oh, I feel like doing this. Like, what would it feel like if, I had a smaller size of clothes, or if I was more fit, or, just
Right.
it's stepping into things instead of, please tell me which way I should go. What does my future hold? There's no answer to that. We do not determine our futures. Like,
So as you have come into that understanding of yourself and experiencing yourself that way, um, it just becomes a way of life. And then, like, even if shit's showing up in your reality that's not pleasant and you're moving through it, because, we talk a lot, we both still go through things, not nearly, like you said, not nearly like you used to. That's why I was so shocked when I got so sick, because I just thought I had done all that stuff. And I was like, why do I have to get sick? Because I thought, I don't know, like, it's like I've already healed myself from a slip disc in my 20s, and I've gone through things that, you know,
we all have.
I've
Then we
already
all get
gone through
another
all this
one,
shit.
and
Like,
another
really?
one,
I have to
and
go
another
through
one.
this again?
Tell me about it.
Like, yeah.
About
So
it.
things do still come up, but it's like you know what to do.
They're like
You don't
that.
have to
They're like
go
that.
through,
Mm.
yeah, you don't have to go through a
No,
process of figuring out what to do. And that's like trusting yourself and, all those things. But I think the challenge then for someone who's done that is, and only if this is a desire, because like this is part of my desire, is now how, as a way shower, what is the what is spirit, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, asking me to do and be, in order to make the most of what I already know in a way that is going to sort of like definitely give assistance to whoever's ready to have that light shine for them as they keep going, but also because for me personally, that's what feels good to me. Like, it just seems like everything else is kind of, what's the point? You know, I can kind of just get lost and, I can totally be present and enjoy a beautiful walk and just be in the now, and that's all wonderful. But like, oh, I actually do have a desire to share with others what it is that I am experiencing. And without it's not because I've reached the place of total bliss 100% of the time, but it's like I do have that self-trust. Ultimately, I do have that knowing that no matter how shit's looking, I mean, even if I die, that's okay. Like it's a level of beingness that you can't really put words to adequately. Um, but so it's like, okay, now what? Like you were saying a little while ago, now what? So if I know all this, now what? And for me, it's like now it's about literally doing the, not literally, but kind of figuratively, like Sadhguru said, feeding the person in front of you, you know? So what does that mean?
I want new
It's
experiences. That's what I want. I've done all that other shit. We've done all that. We've got that down. We know that. Let's do some new shit. Like, what's it like to be Kardashian rich? What's it like to buy a $10 million mansion on a card? What's it, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't done that before. We've done all this other shit. We've got all that down, the pain, the suffering, blah, blah, blah. That's old news. Let's do something different. Let's go on holidays. Let's go connect with amazing people. Let's go have fun. That's what I want to do because I haven't done that yet.
yeah.
That's what I
So
want the next part of my life to be. It's fun. Let's
yes.
experience fun shit, not just learning crap. We've done that. Move on.